Just in a quick update, it appears that this event has been pushed back. It may be a while before this event actually begins. It was originally scheduled about 3:30 Eastern. Now it looks more like 4:30 Eastern start time. So what we're going to do is I think we're going to start the stream over in Jacksonville first and join this event from Charlotte in progress. So we'll still keep this stream active, but if I were you, I would go ahead and move over to the Jacksonville rally stream because we will likely start that stream earlier before we actually begin this stream here, at least until President Trump speaks on the podium in Charlotte. We're speaking on the America First healthcare plan, but the scene in Jacksonville is one that you wouldn't believe right now, and so we're probably going to go live over on that stream first. So if you would, move on over to that stream, unless you'd like to sit here and watch a live video of the White House, which is fine. That is fine as well, but we're going to keep both streams active. I'll update you when we have more information. Stand by.
our fellow citizens about how he is not only the most pro-life president we've ever had, but one of the best presidents we've ever had, if not the best, because he's proving it by his accomplishments. You know, Liz, it's not just words, it's not just rhetoric, it's what he has done. And as he's mentioned at these rallies, he has done more in 47 months than Joe Biden has done in 47 years. And we're going to hear more about that tonight. We're going to hear him, as he usually does at these events, give us the hard evidence of the accomplishments he has made. This is not just a man who makes promises so we're so used to hearing so many politicians make promises and then not only do they not fulfill them, but we don't even hear anything about it anymore. This man not only fulfills his promises, he fulfills more than he promised. And this is one of the reasons that we, together with the great American patriots who are gathering here right now, are so delighted to be here and so delighted to bring this to you. I have been so grateful and so impressed by the work of Right Side Broadcasting. I just want to say to the whole team, starting with Joe and Liz and everybody else that works in this team, thank you on behalf of countless Americans for bringing us the president, mic to mic, no interruption, no spin, and no apology. So it's great to be here with you.
Father, you really are a natural. I love it. This is awesome. You have to come around more often. Before we jump more into our broadcast, I do want to announce that we have a special partner today, and that is iTarget Pro. We wouldn't be here without them, so we do have a big thank you, and you guys should all check them out. If you're like us and you just love watching the news, then you've noticed that innocent people are falling victim to crime now more than ever. There's intimidation, and people are being forced to fend for themselves because Democrats and the left are successfully defunded. Using their proprietary app and laser bullet, you can now train safely in the convenience of your own home with your actual firearm. Our iTarget Pro comes in all major calibers, so you can stay sharp with almost any firearm. Today, you can get 10% off plus free shipping with the offer code SAVE10. This is the smart iTargetPro.com, iTargetPro.com. Use offer code SAVE10, that's SAVE10 at checkout for percentage off and free shipping. We're going to be announcing this a little bit more throughout tonight's broadcast, but for those of you who want to get a head start, go ahead and check that out. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. The Right Side Broadcasting Network covers all of President Trump's rallies. So if you're just now tuning in, thank you for being here. We're excited to be here. Our goal is to make it feel like you have the experience of being here with us as well in Jacksonville, Florida. So just to talk about everything that's going on, Father Frank, of course, has his notes prepared. He is going to kill it as well. But to get head started on the climate and what's going on, it's a little bit overcast in some areas and then direct sunlight in others. It's definitely humid here today in Florida. So there you can see some people hiding out with a little bit of shade. It's cooled down in the last 30 minutes or so. There must be a cloud overhead, but we are inside a hangar. All of the press is inside the hangar. All of the President Trump supporters are outside of the hangar. There are seats and then there are stands. Currently undergoing mic checks here tonight. So Father Frank, you normally watch the rallies, but is this your first one attending?
No, I've been to some of the rallies before. In fact, I was privileged living here in Florida now ourselves. We're in Titusville, and we went to the kickoff of the re-election campaign, the big rally in Orlando. That was a year ago, June. Wow, what an exciting event.
Raining.
Yes.
Did you get caught in the rain?
No, we were good because we were privileged to be with the president before he came out on the stage, because Alveda King is the niece of Martin Luther King Jr. And for those that don't know, she's part of our team at Priests for Life. She's worked with me for about 15 years now. So Alveda and I went to that rally together, and boy, was it exhilarating. You know, folks know that with Right Side Broadcasting, we see the whole crowd. Even for the cameras that don't move, our friends over here in some of these other media outlets, you can still hear the crowd. But when you're here in person, there's one other dimension of how you experience this. You feel the crowd. When there are those cheers, when there are those chants, USA, USA, or Build the Wall, or the most recent chant, which I'm going to comment on a little bit tonight, We love you.
Yeah.
That is very significant, and I want to talk about that a little bit. But when you hear these things, when you're present at these rallies, it goes right through you, and it lifts you up, and it exhilarates you. And, that's one of the really exciting things about being here. Folks, I want to talk to you about something that is so real here. You're not just watching. We know that you're tuning into these rallies because you, like the people that are gathering here and filling in all, there's not a frown in this crowd. These people are smiling. These people are laughing. These people are already, they're singing. They're jumping up and down. When you go to some of these left-wing Democrat-led events, oh my gosh, you can't, it's the opposite. You can't find a smile. These people are here and they're smiling and they're gathering, but you're watching this because you, like them, want to do something to get this president reelected. And that's why I want to urge you right from the beginning of this broadcast, start sharing it now. We've got a few hours before the president is actually taking the mic here in Jacksonville. You have a great and tremendous opportunity to let your friends, your followers, your email list, your social media presence, everybody you can reach right now. Let's do this actively. It's not just a passive thing that, we're going to watch the rally. No, there's no such thing as watching a Trump rally. We participate in it wherever we are. You're watching from California. You're watching from Alaska. You're watching from other parts of the world, perhaps. Let's all participate in the rally. The reason the president does all these rallies is multiple reasons. But one of the big ones, and this is a way we all participate, is that it's voter education. When you think about it, how are people supposed to know what candidate to vote for? How are they going to know that they should choose the president rather than Biden? How are they going to know what that means for America, what that means for their families, what that means for their children, their grandchildren, their churches, their businesses, their future? Well, they're not going to know unless they listen to the things that the president says. And when we listen to him directly, we don't have to suffer the negative spin and the deceitful spin of the fake news. So getting other people to watch this is a key method of voter education. You're doing an act of tremendous service to your neighbors and your friends, your fellow believers, when you say, hey, tune in right now to this Trump rally. Watch this with us at Right Side, because you're going to be informed. You're going to say, wow, I didn't know that the president did that. I didn't know he accomplished that. I never heard of this other thing. And we're going to talk about some of those accomplishments here today. And you're educating others without having to be an expert yourself. You just say, hey, tune in. All you have to be an expert in is how to turn on that feed wherever you're watching from, YouTube or any other platform, and get your friends and your acquaintances to do the same. Then they have access to all this great information. Secondly, for those of us that we know full well who we're going to vote for, nevertheless, I don't get tired of watching every single rally, because you know why? You get fired up. First of all, you deepen your understanding of the differences here between the Democrats and the Republicans, the differences between this historic Trump presidency and the bankrupt, and when I say bankrupt, I mean the bottom of the barrel, bankrupt Democrat platform. It's morally bankrupt. It's bankrupt in terms of the ideas and principles of America, which it has rejected, and just in so many other ways. It's dispiriting. It's not encouraging like these rallies are. The Democrat vision is dispiriting and discouraging. So for those of us who already know what side we're on the right side, after all. We get fired up by these rallies. And that's a big difference, isn't it, between this Trump campaign and the Biden campaign. It's a big difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. We have got the edge on enthusiasm. You see it here. You feel it here. You hear it here. Where's the enthusiasm on the other side? Where's the last rally that they had of this size and this intensity and all these people hours before the candidate arrives? Where is it? I haven't seen it. It's nowhere. And the enthusiasm gap does this for a campaign. The most unenthusiastic voter gets one vote. And the most enthusiastic voter gets one vote. So the level of enthusiasm doesn't increase how many times you can vote. But you know what it does? It helps the enthusiastic voter get tens or dozens or hundreds or even thousands of other votes. And that brings me back to what I started saying, that you are not only going to exercise your vote, and maybe some of you already have voted because early voting has begun in many states. By the end of this month, it's estimated that some 8 million people will have already cast their vote or at least had the opportunity to do so in 16 different states just by the end of next week when September finishes. So voting is underway. We no longer have one day of voting. We've got a whole season of voting. We've got a month and a half of voting. But not only are you going to cast your vote, you're going to be able to influence countless others to vote. And that's what it's all about for each of us between now and November 3rd. From when we get up in the morning to when we go to bed at night, let's be asking one simple question. How can I reach more voters today? How can I inform them through these rallies? And if they're not watching live, go to rsbnetwork.com and let them watch the rally from yesterday, the day before. They're all there. They're all there the rest of this whole election season for you to be pointing others to them and say, sit down and watch. Just, especially if voters are on the fence, hey, listen, you have an open mind, sit down and watch. Listen to the man himself. And then you can judge for yourself what you want to do. So, Liz, that's why I'm so excited to be here at these rallies all the time. I mean, this is a tool for winning this election.
Well, very well said. We can tell you're enthusiastic, and we're just as excited to have you here, especially me. It's fantastic. But you're doing great. We're jumping in the chat room to say hi in just a second. So Gage is going to pan that crowd. And we're going to give you a little update first on what to expect today. So in just a few moments, we actually will be cutting our stream. Don't go anywhere. It's because President Trump is actually headed to Charlotte, North Carolina right now to deliver remarks on the America First healthcare vision. Again, these remarks will be brought to you here live from Charlotte, North Carolina, and that is scheduled to begin at 4:28 p.m. So go ahead and jot that down. If you see the screen, go to President Trump. He's not coming here this early. He just has North Carolina first and then Jacksonville, Florida at 7 p.m. Busy day for President Trump, unlike Biden, who I believe called a lid this morning as well around 8 a.m., as he's been doing. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Right Side Broadcasting Network, well, for starters, I look at our phone a lot. We both do. And the reason is we are talking to headquarters. We're reading your questions, reading your donations, and just interacting as much as we can for this broadcast. We're not trying to ignore you guys. So if you see us looking down, we're really just trying to talk to you guys. Secondly, keep in mind we're almost entirely viewer funded. So we rely on your donations to allow us to continue to stay in business and to go from rally to rally. This week alone, we have 3 in the next 72 hours. Tonight is Jacksonville, Florida. Tomorrow is Newport News, Virginia. Following that is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So 3 nights in a row, and we are going to be bringing these to you live. So from across the country, this is where your donations are going: flights, travel, booking, lodging, talent, equipment. Thank you so much for allowing us to make it happen. It's truly incredible we've gotten to this point, and incredible to see these numbers really gradually but rise so high. It speaks volumes of RSBN and our broadcast production, but also of the support behind President Trump. So it's something gives us a glimmer of hope against these horrible polls, but we know what to think about those anyways. So there are a number of ways you can donate, and the first way is by clicking the $ in the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube Super Chat. We'd love to read some of those off before we cut over to the Charlotte speech. So if you get some of those Super Chat donations in, go ahead and do that. We'll be reading those. It's super easy. Again, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're utilizing the live chat. It's a chat room feature. It's a lot of fun. You get to interact with 6,000 other viewers and maybe 120,000 if we beat our record tonight. We will see, but just click that $. Absolutely any amount helps. The second way is by going to our website. So you can check out our website at www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Moderators, if you don't mind dropping those links down below. And like Father Frank said earlier, we have a lot of other content on our website. So if you miss a rally or you want to know future rallies, bookmark that website page so they can check it out at a different later time. The third way, and this is a non-electronic way, is by sending a check. So this is a lot of fun because this is like tangible and people always put notes in there. So it's so fun to really open up a letter. I know personally I never get them anymore. But you can send a check to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. So just to reiterate, those three main ways of donating are the YouTube Super Chat, the website donations, and by mailing a check. We're almost entirely viewer funded. However, we do have a partner today. I would talk about them the entire time if I could. They've been incredible. But if you've been watching the news, you know what's going on. Innocent people left and right falling victim to crime, intimidation, and they're being forced to fend for themselves because the leftists, the liberals are trying to and successfully defunding the police. When the government can't or won't protect your family, self-defense can be the only option, and you want to make sure that both you and your family are prepared to take care of yourselves. This is why iTarget Pro was invented. Using proprietary technology, their laser bullet you can now train safely in the convenience of your own home with your actual firearm. iTarget comes in all major calibers, including 2.23 and 5.56, so you can stay sharp with almost any firearm. Today, you can get 10% off plus free shipping with the offer code SAVE10. This is the smartest way for you to practice, and it pays for itself in just a few days. That's the letter I, targetpro.com. Again, the letter I, targetpro.com. Use offer code SAVE10 at checkout. Thank you, guys. We got some rock stars behind us here today. We're going to zoom to y'all. I'm going to make my cameraman get them on camera so we can see them. Thank you. That's so sweet. Love you guys. You're the guy on Twitter. Yeah. You did. Good job. It took me a minute. The face. Nice to see you. Oh my gosh. Like I said, we're completely live. I'd normally say uninterrupted, but in that case, we don't mind. But you're not going to be interrupted by like commercial breaks or anything like that. We're not edited. So you actually get to see fellow viewers that normally watch from home, and in this case actually got to come to a rally today. That's super exciting. And just to rewind, you guys, make sure you check out itargetpro.com. They've been incredible to work with, and it's really cool. They actually you put a laser bullet in your gun. It doesn't actually discharge or anything like that, but that laser is going to shoot towards a target. You're going to have an app on your phone that is going to sit there watching the target, and when that laser beams to it, it registers on the app on your phone. So at the end of your practice, you can actually see via the app that it calculates the data. You have your spreadsheet of your accuracy. It's a really cool way to practice target shooting, especially safely in the comfort of your own home. I, for one, hate indoor shooting ranges, so something to note. Now that we've gotten a lot of that out of the way, cleared up, let's see if we have some donations from some of our viewers. Hopefully we do. I hadn't seen any in the YouTube Super Chat earlier. It's still not you guys are killing it. Looks like we have some. So $45 from Franklin and Genesis's mom, who said, Trump 2020, keep up the good fight. I love this channel. God bless you. We have Patrick Wayne. So shout out Patrick Wayne. Matt Suka78 said, thank you for the coverage of Trump rallies, MAGA. $5 from Shruggy Stern, who said, Trump is Trump and he will stay Trump. That's very true. No one can stop him. Doug Jividen became a member as well. $6.99 in Canadian dollars. A new member from Eddie Tenpenny. So thank you. $10 from Music KCMO. And two new members. Nikki is one and the other one is Devin Bryan. We're going to keep you guys updated throughout the day of the donations that come rolling in and as many shout outs as we can possibly give. And again, keep in mind, in just a few moments, President Trump will be live from Charlotte giving remarks on healthcare and his vision for that, the America First healthcare vision. We're live right now in Jacksonville, Florida. What do you think so far?
It's wonderful. You know, I think sometimes when we hear from viewers and donors from other countries, this is something important to keep in mind, brothers and sisters. President Trump is not just leading the United States of America. Of course, he always says, hey, I'm not the president of the world. I'm the president of the United States. And that's why America First as a philosophy, as a governing philosophy, makes a lot of sense. However, when you put America first, you're also helping all the other nations of the world. And, you know, I have, through my ministry, a lot of international contacts. And I hear from so many of you brothers and sisters as well in other countries countries who appreciate the leadership of President Trump. And he appreciates you. He is leading, for example, in defending religious freedom throughout the world. That's a value that we all who are watching now share very deeply. Well, do you know that the president has taken here in the United States unprecedented steps to train our American personnel who work overseas in various capacities to be sensitive to the promotion of religious freedom, to be attentive to the ways in which religious freedom might be violated in other countries, and to be trained on how to deal with that. The State Department, under the leadership of our great Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is taking unprecedented action to promote and defend religious freedom in other places of the world. And the president is saying, in our relationships with other nations, whether it's economic or cooperation in other ways for the service of other nations, for the promotion of peace, we want to see people's religious freedom protected and respected. The president held back in the fall of 2019 a ministerial, it was the second one actually, it's called a ministerial, a gathering of representatives of various different nations on the topic of religious freedom. Now, that's been done twice. It was the first time that this has ever been done in history. And also back in September, he addressed the United Nations, and addressing that body of, again, people from all different countries, he spoke about this right that we all have of religious freedom. It flows from our human dignity. You know, we all seek God in one way or another. We seek to know his truth, and that seeking and holding to his truth and then living it out in our daily decisions has to be done freely. We don't want government either forcing people to believe or live in a particular way in regard to religion, nor do we want them interfering with it. And that, of course, is one of the great things about the United States of America, is that right from the beginning, our founding fathers made it clear that government would not either establish a state religion nor interfere with the exercise of religion. And President Trump has done so well with that. He's also, you know, in the international arena, been promoting peace. Look at what has happened just in these recent weeks with the first peace accord with Israel and other nations there in the Middle East. In 25 years, there have been two other accords going back to the 1990s and before that to the 1970s that Israel has been able to enter into with surrounding nations. But this is the first one in 25 years, and President Trump brokered that arrangement with the United Arab Emirates and with Bahrain. And now there are other countries lining up that want to get in on the action. This means recognizing Israel, exchanging diplomatic relationships, cooperating in things like trade and education and security and health care. You know, this is a path to peace. And the president is a man of peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, the Lord said, and he is certainly one of them. He's doing things that other presidents have talked about and they've promised and they've even tried, but they haven't been able to do it like he has been able to do. And we're going to see more of what we saw just the other day of these representatives from those Middle Eastern nations coming to the White House, shaking hands, signing documents, looking and expressing their desire for peace on earth. The president is doing this. And you know, it's very important to us, of course, as Christian believers, the status of Israel, the protection of Israel from people who, you know, call it their enemy, or they say should be wiped off the face of the earth. This is not only of importance to our Jewish brothers and sisters, it's of importance to us as Christian believers. We are rooted in the covenant and the law and the prophets of the Old Testament and the history of Israel, where Jesus Christ was born and preached and was crucified and rose from the dead. And so this is of importance. And the religious world intersects with the political world when we see a president like we have now brokering these peace deals. Do we want more peace in the Middle East? Do we want more of this progress? Do we want more of this achievement of the desires of the human heart for religious freedom and for peaceful coexistence? Of course, the answer is yes. And that's why we're here. That's one of the many reasons why we're here, why you're watching, why you're spreading to others these rallies, because we have a man here who's getting it done. And he knows that he depends on God. I've had the opportunity to speak a number of times with the president. I speak constantly with people who are very close to him and working with him day by day in his administration. I speak regularly with pastors who have had the privilege of ministering to him personally. And I'll tell you what, the pastors that have ministered to him personally in the spiritual life have said to me, and they have said publicly, they've never seen someone so open to the word of the Lord and the ways of the Lord as this president, who is a Christian. He identifies himself as a Presbyterian. Of course, we know in America we don't have any religious test for public office. That's against the Constitution to say that someone must believe a certain religion or may not believe another religion. That's against the Constitution. But the fact of the matter is, our founding fathers believed in the Word of God, and President Trump does as well. He is a man who is following the Lord, and he knows the power of prayer. You know, on the night he was elected back in 2016, and he often reminds us of the joy and the excitement of that historic election night, when things were pretty clear that he was winning and things were going his way. He actually communicated that night with one of the pastors that guides him, and he said, "It's the prayers, it's the prayers, it's the prayers that's doing it, that's giving us the victory." And when he, shortly after being inaugurated, was at a banquet of evangelical Christians, one of them asked him, "Sir, what do you want to be most remembered for?" Here is what Donald Trump said in answer to that question. "I want to be remembered as the president who prayed more than any other." Is that amazing or what? And he does pray, and he lets others pray with him, and he appreciates your prayers and mine. So let's pray every day for him. And by the way, you may be interested in, if you want to see a special prayer that you can say each day for the election, we set up a special prayer at electionprayer.com. Electionprayer.com, in English and in Spanish, has an interdenominational prayer that the voters will be awakened to recognize that the same eyes that read the Word of God are the eyes that read the names on the ballot. That the same hands that we lift up to God in prayer are the hands that pull the lever in the voting booth or fill in that little dot indicating your choice. And that we do not cease to be believers when we enter the voting booth. You know, some people talk to me, of course, I'm a member of the clergy, and some people say to me, well, you know, Father Frank, religion and politics aren't supposed to mix. Clergy aren't supposed to talk about politics. And I tell them a couple of things in response. First of all, the Lord gave us a command to change the world. He said, "Make disciples of all the nations and teach them to carry out everything I've commanded you." How are we supposed to do that if we don't guide people on electing the right leaders? You want the right kind of laws, you got to elect the right kind of lawmakers. You want the right kind of court decisions, you have to put the right judges on the courts. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science, and it's not magic. So if we're serious about making a change in the world, instead of just engaging in wishful thinking, then we've got to be serious about how we make that change. We make that change by putting the right people at the levers of power. The right people who are going to pass those bills. The right people who are going to sign or veto those bills. The right people on our courts. It's not magic, and it's not rocket science. It's basic 1, 2, 3 ABC politics. And of course the church has something to say about that, because the church has something to say about what's right and what's wrong and the way God wants to preserve our lives, our security, and our freedom. President Trump understands all this. And this is why he defends religious freedom. You know, I was telling Liz just before we came on this afternoon that my ministry had to fight all the way up to the Supreme Court, together with hundreds of other ministries across the country under the Biden administration, as the president says. You know, Obama, Biden, just say Biden. We had to fight them all the way to the Supreme Court. And you know why we had to fight them? They said to us back in, it was like early 2012, they said, look, you folks employ people. We employ about 50 people in our ministry. And they said to us, in your health insurance plans, you've got to offer certain forms of early abortion. And we said, no way, we're not going to do that. And they said, well, we'll give you a year to figure out how you can adjust to do that. And we said, we don't need a year, we don't need an hour, we don't need a minute. We will obey God rather than men. And we challenged them in court. It took 4 years. We went all the way to the Supreme Court. Many, many others did the same. And ultimately, it was only the election of President Trump that freed us from that mandate, that set us on a path where we could live out our faith, not just in church on Sundays, but in the business world on Mondays through Saturdays. And so, brothers and sisters, we do have a man here who defends and protects religious freedom. When the church across the street from the White House, St. John's, was burned, was a victim of arson. Fortunately, it wasn't burned to the ground, but it was damaged. And the next day he went there and he stood in front of that church and he held up the Bible. He held up the Word of God. Do you know why he did that? Some people on the left, some of his critics, some ignorant commentators said that the thing that the president was doing was just a photo op. Well, that's ignorant, brothers and sisters, and that's judgmental. Because President Trump was not doing a photo op. He was standing there with the Word of God, which he believes, and he was standing in solidarity with all of us who believe it. And he was saying, by standing there with the copy of the Scriptures, the Word of God will not be defeated. The Word of God will not be denied. The Word of God will not be silenced in this country. The Word of God will be proclaimed in the churches, and these churches will stand, and we will defend them, and we will defend the believers who worship in them. That was the spirit, and that is the spirit of this president. He doesn't inappropriately mix church and state, but they are connected when it comes to the fact, again, that we are believers in America. Believers made America. Believers are making America great again. He visited also the shrine in honor of St. John Paul II, a pope who is revered across the Christian world, as so many of you know. And again, some people criticized him for that. But John Paul II was also someone who defended religious freedom throughout the world. Remember when he went back to his homeland after becoming Pope, he stood there with vast crowds and he said, we need freedom. And the people were crying out, we want God. We want God. Because the belief in God was being suppressed by the communist regime. And that was the beginning of the end of communism in Poland. And the Pope brought those people together and fired them up. And President Trump gave a stirring address in Warsaw. He gave a stirring address there where John Paul II had also spoken, and he spoke. Go back and look up that Warsaw speech. It is so awesome, and it shows again, as I was speaking to our international friends, the regard that he has for the whole world, the regard that he has for the very principles of Western civilization. That's what's at stake in this election. It's not just a choice between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It's not just a choice between Republicans and Democrats. The choice in this election is between the principles of Western civilization or mob rule. The choice is between the Constitution of the United States or just being ruled by a corrupt culture and activist judges. It is the choice between freedom and prosperity on the one hand, and poverty and oppression on the other. We have the crowd here chanting 4 more years, and we have various people walking through the crowd right now with the American flag, and everybody is just united in this beautiful, beautiful chant, in this deep desire flowing from our conviction about the things that we have been talking about here. USA, because this is a country that knows those principles, that was founded on those principles, that is going to defend those principles here in our homeland and everywhere in the world where we have an influence. Isn't that beautiful to hear that applause? And that leads us to another reflection about these rallies. President Trump, contrary to what some people say about him, is not a divider. He's not a divisive man. He is a uniter. Now, why is that? He's a uniter, brothers and sisters, because if you want to have a united nation, you have to hold to and understand and believe in the principles that define that nation. If you want to have unity in a nation, you have to know who you are. You have to have an identity. You have to learn that identity. He's a uniter. And therefore, we saw his recent action in saying our students need to learn the truth about America. And so he instituted the 1776 Commission to make sure that our children, our grandchildren, our students in school learn what America is really about, learn the true history of this country and not the lies of the other side. In order to have unity, we have to remind ourselves of the principles of freedom, of respect for life, of respect for the family. As the president has said at these rallies, faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, are the American way. Well, by articulating those principles, we build unity. We're uniting around something. Unity is not just some kind of vague thing. You unite around something. And the president clarifies and extols what that something is. Unity also comes through our national symbols. The president loves the flag, loves the national anthem, and reminds us we all have to love those symbols of our unity. The president says we are one nation under God. Unlike the very sad spectacle, and he's been mentioning it at these rallies, of the Democrats in their convention not once but twice in their caucuses, leaving the words under God out of what they said, he emphasizes them. In fact, we've been seeing at these rallies that when the Pledge of Allegiance is recited, not only are the words under God said, but they're shouted. They're said with extra emphasis. He's uniting this country on the very principles that define it. There's another way that he's a source of unity. President Trump unites America through the success of America. When we have success in our economy, and he built the largest and strongest economy, not only in our history, but in the entire world. Before, of course, the pandemic came, we had to shut it down temporarily, but now it's coming back with vigor. That's success, and success unites. When we have seen under this president the largest reduction in poverty that any administration has ever seen, success unites us. When we've seen more job creation just in the recent months than in the whole history of our country, success unites. When we have ourselves extricated from unfair trade deals that take jobs and companies out of our country, and now we're bringing them back, that kind of success unites. And that's why the president is a uniter, not a divider. And we're grateful for that. Do we have something, Liz?
Just a few announcements. Thank you. Great job. You're absolutely killing it. I'll give you a quick little break. We should be going live from Charlotte very soon. So this is where President Trump is going to plan to give his America First healthcare agenda and talk about those initiatives. I'm going to pull an email up from the campaign really quick just so I can inform you guys a little bit on what you can expect President Trump to talk about. President Trump's healthcare reforms have put patients first, giving Americans better care at lower prices. The key takeaway from today's speech are going to be that President Trump is unveiling a new healthcare plan that will put America first. The president and his administration have taken numerous actions to increase choice and competition in healthcare to bring down costs, saving Americans billions of dollars. The Trump administration has expanded the use of short-term, limited-duration health insurance STLD plans, which offer more choices at lower costs to consumers. Thankfully, the Trump administration has expanded access to association health plans, which make it easier for small businesses to band together to offer better insurance and lower premiums for their workers. The Trump administration extended health reimbursement arrangements, allowing employees to use money from their employer to buy the insurance of their choice. President Trump has taken a number of actions to dismantle Obamacare, and his administration's policies have lowered Obamacare premiums for the first time. The Trump tax cuts repealed Obamacare's unpopular individual mandate, which primarily hurt middle-class and lower-income Americans. President Trump signed legislation to repeal the unpopular Obamacare. Over the last 2 years, the premiums for Obamacare plans are declining for the very first time. The Trump administration is working to protect the most vulnerable in our healthcare system. President Trump is committed to protecting Americans with pre-existing conditions. President Trump signed
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So many doctors. So many doctors. Fantastic doctors. Fantastic doctors. Nurses. That's great. Please sit down. I'm thrilled to be here in North Carolina with so many of these unbelievable professionals, doctors, nurses, and amazing healthcare workers. Really an honor. As the world witnessed during our battle against the China virus, America has the greatest medical professionals on earth. Today I will lay out my vision for a healthcare system that puts patients first and families first, perhaps most importantly for all of us, America first. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Under the America First healthcare plan, we will ensure the highest standard of care anywhere in the world, treatment, state-of-the-art medicine, groundbreaking cures, and true health security for you and your loved ones. We will do it rapidly, and it's in very good order, and some of it has already been implemented. In short, we're delivering better care at a much lower cost, to ensure Americans have access to the care they need. My plan expands affordable insurance, reduces the cost of prescription drugs, surprise medical billing, increases fairness through price transparency, streamlines bureaucracy, accelerates innovation, Medicare protects and always protects patients with pre-existing conditions. By contrast, the Democrat Party is pushing a socialist nightmare. Their plans will result in rationing care, denying Americans on waiting lists, driving the best doctors out of medicine and delaying life-saving cures. Over 130 Democrats in Congress, including Senator Harris, have endorsed legislation to outlaw the private health plans of 180 million Americans. On top of it all, former Vice President Joe Biden promised to give free federal health care to anyone in the world who illegally crosses our border. His plan to provide government health care to illegal health care would bankrupt our health care system, collapse our hospitals, Medicare, and destroy while bringing millions and millions of people into our country. As long as I am president, we will safeguard our borders and our seniors. We're pleased to be joined today by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar. Great job, Alex Azar. Thank you. And very importantly, CMS Administrator Seema Verma. Thank you, Seema. A great friend of mine and a great friend of healthcare, Senator Bill Cassidy. Representatives representatives and Michael Burgess and Greg Murphy. Thank you, instrumental. Thank you, folks. And many state and local officials are here with us. Thank you. Since the plague arrived from China, we have seen our doctors, nurses, scientists, and researchers at their very best. We slashed red tape to accelerate the development of life-saving, reducing the fatality rate by 85% since April. Overall, Europe has seen an almost 50% mortality rate, excess mortality rate in the United States than that of the United States. Despite Europe's punishing lockdowns, they're now seeing a huge surge, very sadly, in cases. Under Operation Warp Speed, my administration is developing a vaccine in record time. It will be distributed before the end of the year, and maybe quite a bit sooner than that. Four vaccines are now in the final stage of clinical trials. At the end, it's just about at the end. Very good. A lot of things are looking very good. It is the most ambitious vaccine program in U.S. history, probably in any history. The vaccines are being mass produced, so they can be delivered within 24 hours. The vaccine will be safe. And it will defeat the virus, and it will end the pandemic. The economy will surge. You see what's happening. Record highs. You see what's happening with the numbers that are coming out. Records all. Normal life will. That will be fully resume. And next year will be one of the greatest years in the history of our country, from an economic and hopefully in many other ways. When I was elected, I inherited a thing called Obamacare. Has anybody heard of Obamacare? Has anybody heard of Obamacare? It was terrible. That's the way I feel too. It was terrible and very expensive. Premiums were too high. Deductibles were a disaster. Patients had no choice. You couldn't keep your doctor. But by far the worst part of Obamacare was this thing called individual mandate. As part of our largest ever tax cut in the history of the United States. We put in a provision to kill this worst provision of Obamacare, the individual mandate. It was a disaster, and it was really the essence of Obamacare. It made you pay a tremendous amount of money in order to not have to pay. Health insurance. Think of that. For health insurance. Think of that. Fortune. You had to pay in order not health insurance to have health insurance. It was really terrible. It's so unfair to so many. Destroyed. We were able to terminate the individual mandate, but kept the provision protecting pre-existing conditions. That particular law would never have been signed. Obamacare is no longer Obamacare. As we worked on it and managed it stabilized it, got premiums down very substantially. That was Alex, and that was Seema, and you did it fantastic. But it's still unacceptable to me because it's too expensive. Doesn't really do the job as well as we could have. So what we have now is a much better plan. It is no longer Obamacare. The worst part of it, the individual mandate, made it much less expensive. A lot of that was through good management properly. We have tremendous people working on it. Simultaneously with all of this, we are joining in a lawsuit to end this ill-conceived plan. I'm in court to terminate this really terrible situation. If we win, we will have a better and less expensive plan that will always protect individuals with pre-existing conditions. If we lose, what we have now is better than the original Obamacare by far. Much better. Much better. Protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Today I'm laying out my vision for the future of American healthcare. First healthcare plan. As we restore America, the first full strength plan, a core part of our national. In a few moments, I'll sign an executive order outlining 3 pillars and directing my administration to implement these critical reforms. The first pillar of my plan is more choice. More for the American patient. Very important. The last administration consumer choice through the greatest healthcare lie ever told. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Remember that 28 times that was stated by our president, but it turned out not to be true. When I took office, more than 50% counties nationwide offered plans only a single insurance company, on the individual market. Starting next month, more than 90% of the counties will have multiple options to choose from, which is really some good. Under our plan, you'll have the freedom to shop for the option that is right for you. These options include new affordable choices that cost up to 60% less than Obamacare. Think of that. For example, we're opening up short-term plans that are much cheaper than Obamacare, and that can be customized to your individual needs. We're also offering association health plans that allow small businesses to more affordable policies to their employees. These are tremendous options. These are tremendous options. Didn't exist before we came into and through a massive expansion of reimbursement arrangements, millions of Americans will be able to shop for a plan of their choice on the individual market, and then have their employer cover. Furthermore, I'll work to make individual healthcare premiums fully tax deductible. That will be a big deal. Through these and other reforms, we're putting American patients back in charge, and we're putting them first. My plan will also revolutionize access to telehealth, something that really has taken off. It's taken like a rocket ship. It's increased close to 9,000%. Nobody was using it, and when we had the pandemic, they started using it, then they started really liking it, then it started getting better and better. Bill, now it's up to 9,000%. Who would think that, right? One of the few things that we got from this disaster that came from China. When we rapidly expanded its availability for Medicare beneficiaries during the pandemic, the number of telehealth users increased so incredibly to 14,000 a week. It was 1.7 million. It was increasing at levels that nobody's ever seen before in just about any kind of a program. This is the future of healthcare. We will ensure all Americans have the freedom to consult with doctors from the safety and convenience of their homes. The second pillar of my plan is lower costs for families and seniors. Lower costs. For years, patients have been shocked to receive unexpected bills for thousands of dollars in medical services they never agreed to. The first America First healthcare plan bans this deeply unfair practice. We will end surprise medical billing. The days of ripping off American patients are over. My plan also includes the vital reform of price transparency. And price transparency is great for the great doctors, the good doctors, and it's also great for the great and good hospitals. That's where it's really fantastic for them too, in addition, obviously, to the patients. For the first time ever, we will create true competition in healthcare. Both hospitals and insurance companies will be required to post all of their prices online. This transformative policy will allow you to see your exact out-of-pocket costs before you go for treatment, making it easy to shop for the best price. Costs will come way down. Some people think this will have a bigger impact than healthcare itself. It's a tremendous thing. No matter where it's been put, it's been an incredible service, and it's worked miracles. It's been brilliant for patients. Next, I'm taking on the lobbyists and the special interests to lower the price of prescription drugs. For years, American patients have subsidized socialist nations. And you know that we talk about it all the time. Congress, They come over. We've been talking about it for a long time. They've been talking about it for years. They know the problem, but we've been subsidizing socialist nations and others by paying the highest drug prices in the world by far, and yet we're the largest purchaser of prescription drugs by far. And this is all while countries got away with paying so much less, incredibly less. Under my plan, we will pay the exact same price as other countries. That's at the lowest level. So we will be matching the lowest price with what's now many times the highest price, and we won't pay a penny more. What will happen is the lower prices will come up a little bit, but you'll get discounts of 40, 50, 60, 80, 90, who knows, percent, numbers that you wouldn't even believe. And we were the only ones in 52 years to bring drug prices down. The last year they went down, as you know. But that was before this. They went down just a little bit, but just a little bit was the only time in 52 years. Now they're going to go down massively. Favored nations. This will lead to a very large savings for American families and plummeting drug prices. They will plummet. The Obama-Biden administration caved to Big Pharma and allowed drug prices to explode. The only bad part about this transaction is that they are advertising like crazy. Make sure you don't elect Trump. And all it means is that your drug prices are coming down. So it's incredible. They have unlimited money for ads, but they're taking ads, and every time you see an ad, just think that your drug prices are coming down. I now understand why other politicians wouldn't do it, because it was a very easy thing to do. But it took a certain amount of courage, I will say that. So it means that I'm taking on Big Pharma like never before. Nobody's done this before. They understood favored nations. Favored nations is you get the best price as the lowest, no matter where it is, anywhere in the world. So if Germany's paying 10 cents for a pill and we're paying $2.50 for the same exact pill from the same place, same plant, same genius scientists, same everything, same laboratory, we get the same price as they do. You're talking about numbers that are unthinkable. Favored nations clause. So it's really something, and they're attacking me viciously. We know that, and they're attacking me really because I'm fighting for you. But it's worth the fight. It's worth the fight. I think people are going to understand. And I can say this, I think. I don't think it's confidential. Our chief of staff is here, Mark Meadows, from a very great state known as North Carolina. Yeah, happens to come from North Carolina. That's good stuff. He wanted to be here for that reason, probably more than even listening to this, because you've heard it. But Mark will tell you that Big Pharma is calling and negotiating, and they want to make a deal. And there's a deal somewhere, but it's something that's taking place right now. So they're negotiating, but this is where we are, and they're negotiating for one reason. Before that, they wouldn't even think about negotiating with any other administration. They cannot believe this is actually happening. And if we can make a deal, we will. But Mark, you're negotiating literally as we speak, right? So if he doesn't make a great deal, we'll blame North Carolina, okay? So that's great. Now, Mark is a real pro at this, understands it. Complicated business, but he understands it very well. Today, my administration's taking action on every piece of the executive order I signed on prescription drug importation in July. The American people pay an average of over, listen to this, 3 times more for medicine than Canadians. So you could be 2 feet away on each side of the border, 3 times more. And that's the way it is. Canada is far more than many other countries. My plan will allow states, wholesalers, and pharmacies to do something career politicians have promised for decades, because it was very simple as an idea, but never delivered. We will finally allow the safe and legal importation of prescription drugs from Canada. So this means a state or whatever can go to Canada and buy your drugs for a fraction of the price that they're charging right now. Massive numbers of, tremendous numbers. Florida wants to do it. Colorado wants to do it. Many states want to do it. and they will be doing it, but that's still higher than the favored nations. So as favored nations kicks in, I think that probably beats everybody, no matter where you are, no matter where you're trying to buy. This will be a game changer for American seniors, and by allowing you to do this through Canada, we're doing it very, very quickly, so it goes very fast. And the new rule goes into effect as of today. Is that fast enough? I think so. What do you think? Congressman. The America First healthcare plan includes another historic provision to benefit our great seniors. Under my plan, 33 million Medicare beneficiaries will soon receive a card in the mail containing $200 that they can use to help pay for prescription drugs. Nobody's seen this before. These cards are incredible. The cards will be mailed out in coming weeks. I will always take care of our wonderful senior citizens. Joe Biden won't be doing this. And this is also partially because of the tremendous money that we're going to be saving with the favored nations and various other things that we've done. We've approved more affordable generic drugs than any administration in history. I had no idea, but I have had many doctors who I have great respect for, by the way, come to me and I said, well, what's the difference between this and this? One is a very well-known name. One is just a pill in a bottle with no tag on it. And they said, zero. I said, must be a little bit better, right? The name Zero. And yet the name brand will cost 5 and even 10 times more money than the generic. So we've approved more generic drugs than anybody at a rapid pace too. We're also requiring that low-income patients receive the benefits of government discounts on insulin and the EpiPen. And that, you know, that is a big deal. That is a big deal. Insulin is one of the most common medicines for seniors. And this is something that SEMA worked on so hard. Insulin prices soared under the last administration, like you wouldn't believe, right, SEMA? Under my plan, hundreds of thousands of Medicare patients will see their insulin costs capped at just $35 a month. That's a 66% cost reduction. And this feature will be available on over 1,600 Medicare plans that seniors can begin signing up for starting October 1st. And under certain circumstances, SEMA, it's literally almost free. This insulin, which they were just ripping you on, is close to being free, even lower than the $35 a month. So you did a fantastic job in that. Thank you very much. And SEMA would come to my office, sir, I have something so exciting. She worked on that for a long time and getting that done, but it is exciting. If you need insulin, a lot of people were going without it. They just couldn't afford it. Now they can definitely afford it. We'll accelerate our relentless effort to save seniors money on their premiums. Since I took office, we reduced Medicare Part D premiums by 12%. Medicare Advantage premiums are also down dramatically, a 44% reduction in North Carolina. Good. 43% lower in Pennsylvania, and a 54% lower price in Michigan. So that's something, and we have them all over the country. All over the country, there are numbers just like that. We'll ensure that all seniors pay the same price for the same service, whether at a hospital, a surgery center, or a doctor's office. This will save seniors billions and billions of dollars a year. We're talking about the billions. And it also saves our government a lot of money, but will save our senior citizens billions of dollars a year. Fantastic job. We're putting into place the largest package of saving for seniors of any administration in history. No administration is even close to what we've done. And I've said it, having to do much more than even health care. There's no administration in its first 3.5 years that's done anywhere close to the things we've done. And I never even get criticized for saying it. That must mean it's true, right, my congressman and my great senator? Under the Democrat plan, costs will skyrocket. Our seniors will lose the benefits they paid into their entire I mean, they've been paying for their entire lives tremendous amounts of money, all to finance socialism and open borders. I mean, we're just helping other countries, countries that aren't even friends of ours. But we help our friends, and we help socialism all over the world, and we hurt our people, and we're not doing that any longer. As long as I'm president, no one will lay a hand on your Medicare. Your Medicare is going to be safe, and it's going to be solid. The final pillar of America First healthcare plan is better care. That's better care for American patients. The historic action I'm taking today includes the first ever executive order to affirm it is the official policy of the United States government to protect patients with pre-existing conditions. So we're making that official. We're putting it down in a stand because our opponents, the Democrats, like to constantly talk about it, and yet pre-existing conditions are much safer with us than they are with them, and now we have it affirmed. This is affirmed, signed, and done, so we can put that to rest. They'll say it anyway because it's disinformation. Disinformation. Same thing goes for Social Security. You remember during the last campaign 4 years ago, they kept saying I was going to destroy Social Security. I made Social Security stronger, better. They will be the ones that destroy Social Security because they're going to destroy our country. They will destroy our economy. So Social Security, nothing happened. I keep saying, whatever happened to Social Security? Remember, he is going to immediately attack. No, just the opposite. Your Social Security is 100% with me, but it's not 100% with them. Any health care reform legislation that comes to my desk from Congress must protect the pre-existing conditions or I won't sign it. And I made that pledge, last week, but now I'm making it in writing. We're putting it down, and we have it signed, and we have it sealed. The new Democrat lie is that they will cover pre-existing conditions, but in truth, the socialist takeover, economic shutdowns that they talk about, if you look at this state, frankly, where you have Democrat governors, Democrat leaders, those states are in very, very bad shape with all of their shutdowns. Pennsylvania, you take a look at what's going on in Pennsylvania with the shutdown. We just won a big court case where a judge, great federal judge, ruled it unconstitutional what they were doing. They're hurting people. There's damage on the other side of a shutdown. People don't realize with suicides and drug use and all of the alcohol. It's a terrible thing that happens. And Michigan's another state. The shutdown is very severe. By the way, on November 4th, I'm sure everything will be open. They'll announce on the evening of November 3rd that we're opening up, unless these unsolicited ballots don't come in for weeks and weeks and weeks. You know, they want them to come in over a long period of time. It's going to be a very interesting day. November 3rd, it's going to be a very interesting day. And coverage for illegal immigrants will collapse. Our economy will collapse under their system and make your healthcare system totally insolvent. You know that as great doctors and people that do this, you know that. What they're doing is socialized medicine. And it's not acceptable. It's going to be a disaster in terms of quality and cost. It'll ruin our country. Under their plan, you'll lose your doctor again, and you will lose your coverage. You will lose everything having to do with what we're talking about on my watch. I will never let the radical left take away your health care. You'll always have health care. The America First healthcare plan will deliver another long-awaited reform. We will put you in control of your own medical records. We'll require doctors to make your records available electronically, and you'll own them, and you'll control them, and they will be portable, and you'll be able to work seamlessly with all of your medical providers. It'll make your life a lot easier, much, much easier. The previous administration, led by Sleepy Joe Biden, spent $35 billion and failed to get it done. You know that $35 billion. Where they failed, we are delivering to give critically ill patients access to life-saving treatment, I also signed Right to Try. You know what Right to Try is. To me, Right to Try is so great. It's so great. And what I think I'd like to do, I'll do it really quickly. I'm going to run through just a quick list of accomplishments that we've done. And, we've really become the healthcare party, the Republican Party, and nobody knows that. The news doesn't talk about it. But I'm going to just say, it's a list of things that we've done, and it'll go quickly, but I just thought I'd take it out. I said, I'd like to read that to the audience of professionals today. And this is just a partial list. We repealed the individual mandate, eliminated Obamacare's health insurance, medical device, and the Cadillac taxes. That's a big deal. People forget all of this. They say, I wonder who did that. Could it have been Joe Biden? He doesn't know what it is. Expanded association health plans. Increased availability of short-term limited duration plans. Expanded health reimbursement arrangements, big deal. Lowered prescription drug prices, and you will see them at a level that you'll never see this again. They will go down so low. And as I said, we had the largest annual decrease. We had the only decrease over a 52-year period. More generic prescriptions approved, saving America an estimated $2.6 billion in the first 18 months of the administration alone. So in 18 months, we saved $2.6 billion with generic drugs. Signed 4 executive orders to lower prescription drug prices. Signed legislation banning pharmacy gag clauses. Does that make sense to you? I mean, what people were under, and what even the pharmacists had to do, was it was embarrassing to them. Took executive action to ensure price transparency in healthcare. That'll be one of the biggest things, and most people have no idea what it means. Some people said that's bigger than healthcare. Required hospitals to post standard prices on the internet. Modernized and strengthened Medicare with more options, more benefits, and lower premiums substantially. Improved kidney care, such a big deal, with more transplants and better treatment. Kidney care is so tough for people with a problem. Very substantially lowered the price of insulin, as we said, for our seniors. Invested in advances in generic therapy for sickle cell disease. Big thing, big thing, big thing. Launched a $500 million initiative to find cures for childhood cancers, $500 million. Combated drug demand. We really went very, very strong on drug demand and the opioid crisis, with expanded access to medication-assisted treatment and life-saving naloxone. Opioid prescribed decrease by over 35%. So if you look at the opioid, obviously, horror show, it decreased by over 35% since January of 2017. We've worked very, very hard on that. Launched findtreatment.gov to connect those with substance abuse disorder to treatment. We have an incredible situation. It's findtreatment.gov. Passed Right to Try to give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures where it hasn't been approved yet by the FDA. Incredible. And by the way, many of you know what that has meant. We have had some examples of success that on Right to Try that have been amazing. Launched an initiative to end AIDS, HIV/AIDS in America. We think in 6 years it will be largely eradicated. Who would have ever thought? And this could have started 2 years before I got there, but they chose not to do it. But we have, and we've launched the initiative. It's into its almost 4th year. And at the time we did it, it was going to be 10 years. At the end of 10 years, now 6 years, we're already down to 6. It will largely eradicate AIDS, HIV/AIDS in America. Who would have thought that? It's incredible. When I first heard about it, I said, why wouldn't they have started it early? But they didn't. expanded access to telehealth, especially in rural and underserved areas, telehealth. Signed historic VA choice legislation. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it's the real choice, not the weak choice, the very, very weak, the choice that didn't mean anything. But it's been a tremendous success, and we just got a 91% approval rating from our vets, the highest we've ever had by a lot, the highest. And we also, while we're at it, we signed accountability, VA accountability. That's where people don't love our vets. If they don't take care of our vets, you couldn't do anything about it. They'd have to live in hell with these vets, with the people that we're supposed to be taking care of. And we have a thing called VA accountability. They're accountable now. If they don't treat our vets great, if they don't take care of our vets, if they don't love our vets, our country, we can fire them. We can say, you're fired. We can fire them. VA accountability. That's a big thing. So VA choice, VA accountability. Took executive action to prevent veteran suicide and launched the 24-hour veteran hotline for suicide. And it's really working. And signed the largest ever increase in child care development block grants. Those are just some of the things that we've done. We've done actually a lot more than that, but we have to get back to business here, right? Those are things that we've done, and nobody has any idea. When you look at a list like that, Democrats have never done anything like that. Under the Democrat socialist agenda, an avalanche of regulation would extinguish the flame of excellence that makes America the center of scientific discovery, groundbreaking treatment, and life-saving cures. In our all-out war against the virus, we've lifted bureaucratic barriers and marshaled America's scientific, industrial, and technical brilliance, and we do have total brilliance. Some of it's in this room, by the way, in case you don't know. I will apply, it really is some of the people, right, Bill? Some incredible people in this room. I'll apply the same determination to accelerate medical breakthroughs in all areas, including for Alzheimer's, diabetes, generic treatments for sickle cell disease, early detection of cancer, and much, much more. Already to improve care for Americans with kidney disease, we enable patients to receive at-home dialysis, and we're investing in the creation of an artificial kidney. We're getting very close. And we introduce critical incentives to make more kidneys available for transplant, a change that will save tens of thousands of lives. What people have to go through with kidney disease is incredible. It's incredible. They work so hard. I said, how do? They can live a long life, but it's so much work to do it that they literally, one doctor told me that they die of hard work. It's such a job to go and, I guess, dialysis, etc. It's such a hard job that they die of just hard work. It's incredible what we've done there and what we're doing, and especially with some of the research that's been done, what we're coming up with. You'll be seeing it very soon, I believe. As we invest in the future, we will permanently bring our medical supply chains back home. We will produce our medical supplies, pharmaceuticals, and treatments right here in the United States, right here in North Carolina. We're going to bring a lot of business too. If you remember, Puerto Rico used to do it, and then they brought tax legislation that destroyed that whole thing. They all left, but they were very happy in Puerto Rico. We're going to bring it back to Puerto Rico and many of our states that will be doing it. And North Carolina, I see, is on the list as being a very top one. So we're going to bring it back to North Carolina and the country. And we'll reverse the disastrous and heartless decision Joe Biden made in 1996 to shut down the pharmaceutical industry in Puerto Rico. It took place in 1996. Biden shut down the whole Puerto Rico industry. This was a very good industry. They were doing a fantastic job, and one day it was just literally gone. Biden shut it down with what he did with taxes, and it was a disgrace, but we will bring it back. Under our leadership, American medicine will make the biggest breakthroughs, the largest leaps, the most exciting strides, and the most outstanding discoveries. Before I sign a historic executive order implementing this ambitious agenda, let me introduce two Americans, great Americans, who will benefit from our policies. Julia Strathopoulos was born in Freeman-Sheldon syndrome, or with the Freeman-Sheldon syndrome, which is tough, an extremely rare muscle and bone disorder. Under the previous administration, Julia's family saw their premiums on the individual market skyrocket to $3,000 a month and more. Her parents had to go without a health insurance just to afford coverage for their children. Since I was elected, their family's premiums have been slashed by more than 40%, and we're going down further. And everyone is now covered, and Julia always has access to the doctor she needs. Julia, we are with you. I don't know where you are, Julia. Where is Julia? Wow, thank you. Thank you. You look great, Julia. Thank you. That's great. Thank you, Julia. It's a great story, but we're inspired by your courage. Thank you very much. Also with us is Sharon Leader, a financial planner from nearby Concord. After spending less than 24 hours in the hospital and receiving a few basic tests, she received surprise bills that added up to $4,000. That's a lot of money, despite having insurance. Sharon, those days will soon be over because we'll end surprise medical billing once and for all. Where is Sharon? Hi, Sharon. That's why they call it surprise billing. She got home and she was surprised. They sent you the bill, you opened it up, you thought it was going to be $25, and it was a little more than that, right? That's great. Well, we're taking care of it. Thank you very much, Sharon. We're standing up for our people. We're standing up to special interests. We're taking on the powerful lobbyists. We're stopping the radical socialists and communists, to be honest with you. I think we've gone a little bit above socialism or below it, if you want to call it that way. But we are standing up to both, whichever one you want to choose. And we are fighting for the incredible people of North Carolina. They're incredible people, people I love. I love the people. We named, as you know, my grandchild is named Carolina. So. Right? Beautiful Carolina, my most beautiful child. But we're providing better care and more choice at a lower cost, substantially lower cost. We're delivering a healthier, safer, brighter, and more prosperous future for every citizen in our magnificent land because we are proudly putting America first. That hasn't happened for a long time. On behalf of all Americans, I will now sign the executive order. I want to thank you all for being here. God bless you. God bless North Carolina, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's a lot of work. That's great. Hi, Julia. Here's a big one. So, Julia, that's for you. You have the first one. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.